Good morning and welcome to the Detroit Police Department's end-of-year Crime Stats Press Conference for 2025. My name is Jasmine Barmore and I am the Director of Media Relations for the Detroit Police Department. Today you will be hearing from Detroit's Mayor, Madam Mayor Mary Sheffield, Detroit's Chief of Police Todd Bettison, along with our local and federal law partners and community partners who have helped this department achieve their success. I do ask that you hold all questions until the end of the presser, where we will allow 2 questions per media outlet. Now, I'd like to bring up Detroit's top cop, Chief Todd Bettison.
Well, Happy New Year. And I remember being here last year reporting out on the crime stats for 2024, and we had historic low numbers to be able to report. This year, we have historic low numbers to be able to report because we were able collectively, it's a collective effort, our law enforcement partners, our CVI partners, our community, our media, when we push out information, if you see something, say something, the community responded. And so I stand here and I just want to thank the hardworking men of the Detroit Police Department, my executive team, everybody involved, the unions, the DPOA, the LSA, the Command Officers Association, because I will tell you this, during 2025, Chief Todd Bettison personally didn't lock up one person, y'all. I didn't, but I got a phenomenal team, and they definitely got the job done. Before I go into the actual stats and get into that, 1 homicide, 1 assault, 1 carjacking, as we always say, is 1 too many. And so regardless of the trend line that has went down, what I will tell you is this, that if you were the victim of a crime, whether it's a violent crime or a property crime, if your vehicle was stolen and you came out and it's not there, that significantly impacts you. And so you will say, what are you really celebrating? But I will tell you this, Detroit, Metro Detroit, and the nation, that what we're doing in the city of Detroit with our plan collectively, it's working. Because as you will see very shortly, it's going down, down, down. And in 2026, this year, this group right here, we will double down on our efforts and come up under the leadership of our new mayor, Mary Sheffield, to continue as investing in prevention, enforcement, technology, everything. When I say and, it's all about and more, and strengthening the relationships even deeper when it comes to community engagement, with all of us being involved and inspiring folks that are engaged in criminal activity to have alternatives and to just really change the culture when it comes to engaging in criminal activity. So with that, I would like to bring up really, really quickly our mayor, Mary Sheffield.
Thank you. Good morning, everyone. Honored to be here, grateful just to stand here to recognize the progress that we have collectively made as it relates to making our city more safe. I first just want to thank our chief, Chief Bettison, for his remarkable leadership. He is someone who understands all of the various, facets of public safety, that it's not just about law enforcement. There's a human side. There is a prevention side, and it has to be addressed holistically, and our chief understands all aspects of that. So again, I want to give honor and thanks to the remarkable leadership of our chief. Can we give him a round of applause again? I also want to thank the incredible men and women of the Detroit Police Department, and to all of our law enforcement partners that are here today on the local, state, and federal level, as well as the many community-based organizations, our CVI groups, and neighborhood partners who do this work every single day to drive crime down and make our community safe. We thank you, we honor you, we appreciate you for the work that you all do. Detroit once again has seen a drop in every major category of crime, which means fewer families are grieving, fewer lives are disrupted, and more families now can feel safe in their homes, in their communities. This decrease in violence is due to the collaborative spirit and partnerships that are here today. I have always stated that I believe in a holistic and comprehensive approach to public safety that is rooted in both prevention and intervention. And while we have made progress, as our chief indicated, we know that the work is far from over. One life lost is far too many. And so I stand here today as a newly elected mayor to really solidify my commitment that public safety will remain a priority for this administration. We will build on the foundation of the strategies and programs that are working and ensure that we are continuing to make Detroit a safe city. We are also committed to launching the city's first ever Office of Neighborhood and Community Safety in the city of Detroit. This office will focus on strengthening and expanding proven strategies, addressing mental health, engaging our youth through after-school programs, mentoring and job training, and also enhancing neighborhood-based solutions that save lives in a data and resident-informed way. And lastly, as we talk about the data today and the numbers, we know that perception is what matters most, how people feel in their neighborhoods, and this office will be focused on that as well, too. So with the effective strategies that Chief Beddison and all of the partners here today have put in place, as well as the office that is forthcoming, I truly believe that we will continue to see a crime rate reduction in Detroit and making Detroit a safe place for all. So God bless you all. Thank you all for the work that you're doing, and I'm extremely excited to work with each and every one of you all.
So at this time, I'll start going through the PowerPoint presentation and actually reveal our numbers. As you can see, the reduction, the trend line, when it comes to our homicides. In 2025, homicides dropped by 18.7% from the previous year of 2024. If you go back to 23, it dropped by 34.5%. And you can see the trend line over time, just the lowest record when it comes to homicides in the city of Detroit since I've been a police officer, since I've actually been on the job. I've been on the job now over 30 years. Non-fatal shootings. I never thought I would see the day throughout my career when we would go below 1,000 actually. But with the collective effort, and just for definition purposes, a non-fatal shooting is where an individual is shot, but they survive. So it could be a shot to the finger, to the leg, and they survive the injuries. Last year, we had 447. The previous year, we had 607. And if you go back to 2020, you see we had 1,176. And you can see the trend line where we're continually to trend down. Our officers, this group, the community, everyone, CVI, working collectively, the judges, courts, working to make the city a safer place, our community. Carjackings. It was a point when the city of Detroit was actually called Carjack City. If you went back to 2013, 2014, we used to have over 800 carjackings in the city of Detroit. We actually implemented and put a program in place called Project Greenlight, and that was done based off of data because so many of the carjackings were occurring around gas stations, Coney Islands, other places that stayed open late. And so we actually implemented an innovative program called Project Greenlight. We started with 8 gas stations and 8 businesses, and today we have over 1,000 green light locations, and the media and everyone wanted to know at that time, what is the data? Does it work? Is Project Greenlight working? I would say yes, but I would also say that it's not a one-stop solution. that other things are contributing as far as our commercial auto theft section officers, other technology as well. But with the strategy, you can see that over time and sticking with it, adding more to it, the trend line is continuing to go down. And last year, we only had 77 carjackings in the city of Detroit, where vehicle was taken at gunpoint or another weapon from them physically. That's what a carjacking is. Our Part 1 crime is not only violent crime, but it's also property crime. But you can see in every category of our Part 1 crime and violent crime, whether it's sexual assaults, down 13.7%, aggravated assaults, down 8.4%, robberies, down 21%, 21.2%. Burglary, that's an offense that really is invasive as well, down 10%. Motor vehicle theft, I mentioned that with my opening statement. When your vehicle was stolen, my vehicle has been stolen, I know how it feels. I walked around the whole corner. I mean, like maybe I parked it somewhere else because I couldn't believe that it had actually happened to me. You know, and I was quite embarrassed being a police officer and they stole my vehicle. But I will tell you this, we reduced motor vehicle theft in the city of Detroit by 23.3%. What does that mean? That's over 2,000 fewer vehicles stolen in the city of Detroit. And I hope that that translates to some lower auto insurance in the city of Detroit as well. You see that all of our categories are down. With our federal partners, we don't do it alone. And so with the gun violence reduction team and with what they've done, 2,932 investigative leads generated by NIBing. And folks will say, well, what's that? That's where we actually put the shell casings into our NIBing system, and we're able to trace where that firearm came from. We also got 2,932 leads generated by NIBing. As a result, there were 253 arrests generated from ShotSpotter notifications in 2025. And in 2025, we also recovered 6,235 guns. Our federal and our local partnerships, in partnership with the U.S. Attorney's Office, the ATF, the DEA, the FBI, Homeland Security Investigations, DFAT, our Detroit Fugitive Apprehension Team, and our other partners, that group arrested 441 individuals were charged, over 2,253 felony arrests, 462 illegal guns taken off the street through their efforts, 593 search warrants executed. The reason that we go through to explain these numbers and what we're doing is to show exactly how we're reducing crime in the city of Detroit. And at this particular point, I would like to invite up Salma Mohsen, the first assistant U.S. attorney, to give remarks to talk about the federal partnership along with the ATF, the FBI, Mr. Reuben Coleman, and others on the federal side of the house. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Chief Bettison. We at the United States Attorney's Office are very fortunate to work with the hardworking men and women of the Detroit Police Department and with all of our partners, state and federal. We have a lot to be thankful for. So first, allow me to thank you all for all that you do to keep all of us safe. Thank you. We are grateful to you and to all of our law enforcement partners for your courage, your dedication, and commitment to protect and serve this community. This reduction in violent crime is your success,
it is Detroit's success. United States Attorney Jerome Gorgon and the men and women of the United States Attorney's Office are honored to support that success, and we are ready to do more. I would like to highlight some of the aspects of the productive and strong partnership between our office, the Detroit Police Department, ATF, FBI, DEA, HSI, and all of our partners today. This partnership is groundbreaking and ever evolving, and we work hard to identify, apprehend, and prosecute the vicious and often brutal criminals who are driving the violence in this city and terrorizing entire neighborhoods. For instance, this summer, Chief Bettison asked his federal partners to help with a brewing gang war on the east side of Detroit. He was proactive and forward-leaning in his approach. He brought the considerable power of the partnership to bear on the problem. As a result, our office played a small part, along with all of our federal partners, to work together and identify the drivers of the violence, the warring gang members. Our office charged 6 defendants, effectively ending that gang war and preventing further bloodshed. By the end of the year, homicides and nonfatal shootings were down significantly in the 2 East Side precincts that were most impacted by the gang violence. And recently, our office indicted Terrence Davis, a convicted felon on probation who is connected to multiple shootings. The Davis case highlights the success of the partnership. In that case, the Detroit Police Department collected shell casings after 8 unsolved shootings, put them into the NIBIN system, which is the National Integrated Ballistic Information System, or network, and ATF's NIBIN group connected those shootings to a single firearm. Within days, our office, working with ATF and DPD, identified the shooter as Terrence Davis and obtained federal arrest warrants. When law enforcement tried to arrest Davis, he fled and then carjacked a victim. During his flight, he exchanged fire with the DPD and ATF. Our office charged and indicted Davis federally with carjacking, attempted murder, felon in possession of a firearm, and other offenses which carry stiff and in some instances mandatory minimum penalties. This partnership is, in fact, the tip of the spear in combating violent crime. Our assistant United States attorneys, our prosecutors, work inside several police precincts, shoulder to shoulder, with DPD, ATF, and all of our partners. And United States Attorney Jerome Gorgon has expanded these efforts. We are now partnering with 7 precincts and the Detroit Police Department's Domestic Violence Unit because we are laser focused on identifying and prosecuting the drivers of the violence. We are partnering with the Domestic Violence Unit because it is a fact that those who engage in domestic violence are among the most violent and dangerous criminals. They drive violence. And so, I have a message for those who drive violence. If you are a driver of violence, know this: we are coming for you. We will bring our considerable federal resources and tools to identify you, locate you, and prosecute you to the fullest extent of the law. Thank you, Chief Bettison, for all of your hard work, and thank you to all of our federal partners.
When I became chief and was appointed, one of the things that I said during the first press conference was being about collaboration, because that's what it's really about. And so this is the collaborative effort that will make Detroit one of the safest big cities in America as we continue. Next, because law enforcement is really one of the most visible entities when it comes to overall public safety, but it's a lot more than just policing. There's another side to it as well, and so that's the circuit, the courts. So you have the judges, you have our prosecutor's office, but the courts play a big role in ensuring that justice prevails as well. And so at this point, I would like to bring up Third Circuit Court Judge Patricia Fassard.
Thank you so very much, Chief, and good morning. Everything has been really said about the stats, and I just want to talk about our feelings from Third Circuit Court about these stats. Yes, we have to recognize them as absolutely astounding. And as I end my tenure, my 3-year tenure as Chief of Wayne County Circuit Court, I have to say that there has been nothing that has been more of a pleasure or more of an honor for me and for our court than this collaboration. Because our job is to enforce the law and to manage crime. But it is only with this collaboration and this team that has allowed us to work so closely with the prevention of crime and with the supporting the community and supporting those in need that really has this kind of an impact on the reduction of crime. I agree with Mayor Sheffield that we have to recognize Chief Bettison in these efforts, because I have to say my experience has been that we're all in a time where we see the harm in politics and administration of justice. We see inequities and we see problems. But with Chief Judge Bettison, I have to say that I have personally seen efforts that are way, way beyond what I have seen in any other chief of police. He says he has not personally arrested anyone, but I have to say that I got a call one night from law enforcement, and I thought it may be some officer who, calling about an issue. It was Chief Bettison himself on a non-fatal, and so far, and on a non-media case of looking to save 3 children who were in grave danger of possible being violence, serious violence. And he took it upon himself to go the extra step, to make the extra call on the weekend at a night, and to look for an alternative to when there was no crime that could be immediately arrested on. And he solved the problem and saved those children. And this is the kind of partners that we have, and we're grateful. And the Wayne County Circuit Court is also extremely grateful to have unprecedented support from our county executive and from our commissioners, who have supported this court to an extent that we have never seen and enabled us to do that work. And I would also say that as I go back, as is more comfortable for me, to a boots on the ground judge serving in court, we are going to be led by a friend, a long-time dedicated public servant, Ed Ewell, and I know that he will also be just as honored to serve with this crime force and with these partners in order to serve Detroit better, and we are very proud of that. Thank you.
Thank you, Judge Fassard. At this point, I would like to bring up, I always like calling them the alphabet soup, but the ATF, the DEA, and the FBI. So Jimmy Deere, Joseph Dixon of DEA, who's recently been appointed as the special agent in charge of DEA, who has and will speak to his commitment to double down on the enforcement of illegal drugs in the city of Detroit. We know that with the fentanyl crisis, we oftentimes hear about the overdoses that are occurring, but making sure that we hold the individuals responsible for pushing the poison in our community. And then also FBI Special Agent in Charge, Reuben Coleman. So I would like all 3 of them to come to the microphone and give remarks.
Good morning. Happy New Year, everybody. My name is Jimmy Deere. I'm the Special Agent in Charge for ATF Michigan. It is a pleasure to be here today. It is a true pleasure. I've been working with ATF in Detroit for 8 years. So I've been doing this this is my 8th time at the podium, and it's never have I been so proud of the work that ATF has done in collaboration with the men and women of the Detroit Police Department. We've got a tremendous partnership with the Detroit Police Department and a tremendous partnership with the United States Attorney's Office. I've served in 7 field divisions across this country. I've never had a U.S. Attorney's Office so supportive of reducing gun violence and violent crime in a city. This partnership is laser focused. And as Chief Bettison likes to say, we are promise keepers. We are promise keepers. And it starts with the alphabet. And the alphabet begins with an A, and so does ATF. And if you pick up a gun and you point it at somebody, it takes effort to shoot. It takes effort to pull that trigger. If you decide to do that, we're going to hold you accountable. If you are an illegal firearms trafficker and you decide to arm juveniles, to arm gang members, to arm people prohibited from purchasing a gun legally, we're coming for you. And this United States Attorney's Office will prosecute you to the fullest extent of the law. Now, I like to bring up props. I don't have any props today. I've got no dogs. My dogs are on the street hunting right now. Every one of them are hunting. From the agents to my actual canines, I think proof's in the pudding. Last year, ATF reviewed 2,215 gun arrests in the city of Detroit. 2,000. We have a gun problem here in this city. We have a violence problem. And we're making phenomenal strides towards putting our city at the top of the mountain as an example of what can be. But until we get to that point, we're going to continue to fight. I bring these numbers only to highlight the work that is ahead of us and to highlight what we have done. I'm that kid that used to put the report card on the refrigerator and say, look at us, Mom, look at us. I think every life in Detroit matters. I think not only does every life matters, but in the event that you choose to pick up a gun, you choose to pack your bags for prison. And it's going to be an extended period of time outside the city of Detroit, outside the state of Michigan. We will relocate you to a place where you have nobody coming to visit you, and you have no influence in these streets. These are our streets, and we're taking them back. So when you look at the work that has been done, over 2,000 federally reviewed gun cases in the city of Detroit, that means folks rolling around the street, not being able to lawfully possess a gun, and the men and women of Detroit, when they're doing their due diligence on the streets, keeping the city safe, are encountering these folks. That's 2,000 times over the course of a year. Divide that by 52, and that's 185 a month. Or divide that by 12, and that's 185 a month. And 5% of those folks went federal. Think about that. You got 5% of you, you're going to prison, and you're going to prison outside the city of Detroit and outside the state of Michigan, because we're federal, and we'll send you to Terre Haute, Indiana. Good luck there. When you look at non-fatal shootings and you look at shots fired call, ShotSpotter is a tremendous tool, but it's a tool. And we use good old-fashioned police work on everything we do. And we attack. We are relentless in everything we do with the Detroit Police Department to ensure accountability on our streets, to ensure people live in peace. Everybody deserves to walk down the street and not fear for their loved ones coming home that day. Everyone. I live in St. Clair Shores. I take it for granted. I walk everywhere I go. And I don't even think about gunfire. I take that for granted. We shouldn't. We should not. When you look at it, we had 949 ShotSpotter incidents and shots fired calls in the city of Detroit last year that ATF responded to and actively investigated in. Our dogs are on the street looking for shell casings, looking for evidence that we can put into the National Integrated Ballistic Information System. It's a mouthful, but it's going to help hold people accountable. It's data-driven. It's connecting people to crimes. That's what we do. You look at serial rapists, people targeting sex traffickers on the street, we hold them accountable through NIBIN. This individual that Ms. Mosen was speaking of, that shot, that pointed a gun at ATF, that pointed a gun and carjacked folks, this individual was involved in rapes. This individual. You've got individuals out there roaming our streets that are animals, that are predatory in their nature. And that's our promise. We're going to find them, we're going to hunt you down, and you're going to go to prison. That's our promise. I promise you that.
Thank you, Chief Beddison, and thank you, Madam Mayor, and thank you to the men and women of the Detroit Police Department for your leadership, professionalism, and unwavering commitment to this city. My name is Ruben Coleman, and I'm the Acting Special Agent in charge of FBI Detroit Field Office, which covers the entire state of Michigan. I am honored to speak on behalf of our office today. The FBI Detroit Field Office is proud to stand shoulder to shoulder with DPD. Their partnership is not symbolic, it is essential. Together, we work to ensure the safety, strengthen trust, and uphold the accountability in the communities we serve. Across Detroit, officers of all ranks work side by side with FBI special agents, intelligence analysts, and professional staff through joint task forces dedicated to crushing violent crime. These efforts include the Violent Crime Task Force, the Violent Gang Task Force, and the Violent Crime Against Children Task Force, where local expertise and federal resources come together for one purpose: protecting Detroit. In 2025, across Michigan, the FBI Detroit Field Office and our partners achieved measurable public safety results. 841 arrests statewide, a 120% increase from 2024. Illegal firearms and significant quantities of drugs seized across the state. 680 victims supported by victim service specialists in Michigan. 90 missing children located through coordinated investigative efforts. Here in Detroit, working directly with DPD, federal arrests increased by 289% from 2024 to 2025, a clear reflection of focused, intelligence-driven investigations and strong collaboration. Together, we remain committed to disrupting violent crime and gun violence, investigating those who prey on our most vulnerable populations, including children and the elderly, stopping time-sensitive targeted threats before lives are lost, investigating complex cyber and fraud schemes, and securing restitution for victims. Public safety is a shared responsibility. Strong partnerships between federal, state, and local law enforcement, combined with community trust, are what make these staffs possible. Because of our partnerships with the Detroit Police Department, we are helping to keep Detroit safe. Thank you to our law enforcement partners and to the community for standing with us as we continue this mission together.
Good morning, Madam Mayor, Chief. It's an honor to stand amongst these individuals in this room, these partners. The work that the men and women of the Drug Enforcement Administration do and that the Detroit Police Department and our partners do is strategic, it's intentional, it's impactful, but most of all, you see the results. The results of these partnerships, the results of the chief's commitment to having lots of friends. And the chief will tell you he has lots of friends, and he does. And he can call on them no matter the time. I'm one of those friends. Everyone here, we are those friends. Detroit, we are going to make the safest city in the nation. That is a promise from the Drug Enforcement Administration. That is a promise from our partners. And that is a promise that the chief and the mayor are sure to keep. With that, we've seen that fentanyl has taken plenty of our lives. Most of us in this room and most of us listening audience have lost someone to the nation's worst drug. We're going to stop that. Our purpose, our mission, our resolve is to ensure that if you peddle poison in our community, it's very simple. We're going to find you. We're going to arrest you. We're going to ensure you're prosecuted. We're going to be there when you're sentenced. And we're going to watch you as you get on the bus or the plane and take a trip to the Federal Bureau of Prisons. It's very simple. See something, say something. We all know who's doing it. We recognize who's doing it. And I would tell you this, if you're a part of it, stop it. Not in our communities, not in our neighborhoods, not in our schools. The next generation depends on you and all of us in this room. The men and women of the Drug Enforcement Administration, we stand in support with the city of Detroit and our partners across the room, across the globe. And we're here, and the message is very clear. We're going nowhere. I want to thank you all for allowing us the opportunity to be a part of your space. Chief, thank you for the partnership. You know you can call me whatever the time it needs. Okay, and we stand with you and your men and women on the front lines. Thank you. Madam Mayor, thank you also.
Looking at 36th District Court, which is one of the busiest municipal district courts in the country, this collaborative effort, along with CEO Evans, Chief Judge McConico, going back to 2020 when we all were in the COVID epidemic, courts across the country experienced a tremendous backlog. But under the leadership of Wayne County Executive Evans, pulling everyone together to really attack the problem, you can look at the chart and see that 36th District Court cut the backlog of pending gun felony cases by 91% over the last 4 years. And as of today, closing out December 2025, it's only a backlog of 192. And so they continue to make sure that individuals get processed expeditiously. The Wayne County Sheriff Partnership and just the Wayne County collective effort. The city of Detroit may be the largest city in the state of Michigan, but if you talk to Sheriff Raphael Washington, he'll tell you that it's just one city in the county of Wayne. And how many cities are in the county of Wayne, sir? 43. So he always reminds me that I'm just one of 43, but I'm the largest of that one of 43. And so I would like to bring up right now Wayne County Executive Warren Evans and thank him and have him speak to the overall collaborative along with Sheriff Raphael Washington.
Good morning. Good morning. Thanks, Chief. Thank you, Madam Mayor. Let me talk about the county part of this, because when we talk about a criminal justice system, it is in fact a system. It's layered. You have local police, Detroit. You have the county sheriff. You have the federal partners. You have the state police. And it is not a natural thing for all of them to work together and have a common goal. It would seem like it would be, but if you've been around this country as long as I have, it isn't. So there is a concerted effort here for us to put egos to the side and figure out how to crank out justice, but not just the enforcement part. That was always, in my police career, the most fun part, to be honest with you. But, you know, we have misguided kids who will go into the juvenile detention facility, and they ought to come out at least not worse than they went in. That's a county function. There are citizens groups here who are involved in coming in there to mentor these kids. There are kids who have been active shooters, and you can call them kids if you want to. But if you go and see them in the juvenile detention facility, you'll see what the staff deals with on a daily basis. The Wayne County Jail, we built a new jail. We didn't just build it because we wanted to spend money. We built it because the quality of services in that jail ought to be commensurate with the times that we're in. We may not make them better people tomorrow, but it creates a more humanistic environment, which is part of the process. And so I've been involved in this for a long time. Judge Frazard, who was the chief judge for the last 3 years, Wayne County Circuit Court, key player with the county to make sure that we got these things done. And I guess just the last thing to say is, as we meet regularly, there are no egos in the room, and there's nobody in there waiting to get out to tell tales on someone else. And when you get past that hurdle of conflict internally and say, here, we're here to solve problems, what happens in this room stays in this room, and let's figure out how to tweak it and move forward. The machinery for most of this has been done. But thank God this mayor has decided not to do what many do, which is when there is a change in leadership to throw the baby out with the bathwater. She has seen it critical that there's a team here that works, and she wants it to continue to work, and I'm sure her leadership will say, we need to tweak it a little left, we need to tweak it a little right, but we don't lose time by getting, flushing the toilet, so to speak. And so thank you very much for giving me a minute to speak. I really think our county partners need to be talked about here. The prosecutor, that's a Wayne County function. It's not a Detroit function. It's not a state function. So we are a team, an evolving team, and a team that's doing, I think, very well. And so thank you, Madam Mayor, for you, Chief. When I think about how long we've known each other, I start getting arthritic pain. And Special Agent Dixon here. How old were you when we met? Okay. All right. Thank you very much.
Good morning, Madam Mayor Sheffield, and to our Chief Todd Bettison. First, I want to acknowledge what a strong partnership we have with the Detroit Police Department. The Chief and I have an excellent working relationship, which my entire agency values. Just one example of our collaborative efforts to reduce crime is our Scout program, the Sheriff's Community Organized Urban Team. In 2025, we assisted DPD in 9 of its precincts, focusing on neighborhood quality of life issues. Neighborhood quality of life issues. Those that are drag racing and drifting in the community. Those that are speeding through the neighborhoods. Those abandoned vehicles in the neighborhood. Morality issues that go on in the neighborhood. That's what we talk about when we talk about neighborhood quality of life issues. The results speak for themselves, working alongside with DPD. We made 761 traffic stops in the year 2025. And that's from like April to November. 761 traffic stops, wrote 579 citations, and made 129 arrests. All we're talking about is neighborhood community situations that happen that still law-abiding citizens who live in those communities want to see addressed. And so we work right there with the Detroit Police Department, making sure those quality of life issues are addressed. These are the kind of enforcement actions that people living in the neighborhood see and feel. We believe in regional cooperation and look forward to all the good we can do together in 2026 with the Detroit Police Department. So, Chief, you already know, whenever you call me, we're going to be there. And we're going to be there April through November when you don't call me, because we're going to be out there helping anyway. That's what we do together. We're stronger together. So thank you, and God bless you all. Happy New Year.
Thank you, Sheriff Washington. And so when we talk about local, it's city, it's county, and then it's state. So I want to introduce the top cop of the state of Michigan. That's Colonel Grady. So Colonel Grady, thank you for what you've done for us as well.
Good morning. Thank you, Mayor Sheffield and Chief Bettison, for inviting me to be a part of today's press conference. It is a privilege to address you in the great city of Detroit, and I am proud to stand before you as we reflect on a period of meaningful progress and commitment to public safety. Today, we celebrate a milestone in crime reduction that has been driven by a shared responsibility, the partnerships between the Michigan State Police, the Detroit Police Department, our local agencies, our federal partners, and the members of this community. This achievement did not happen by accident. Yes, sir. It happened because we embraced collaboration across agencies, across our neighborhoods, across lines of difference to safeguard the people of Detroit and the state of Michigan. Our troopers work hand in hand with the Detroit police officers. That's been going on since the mid-70s. Guided by a common purpose to protect life, to uphold the rule of law, and to restore a sense of security to every neighborhood. With our federal partners, we have expanded our capacity to deter, detect, and disrupt crime, while ensuring that the civil liberties and fair treatment are always protected. And with the community, through outreach, dialogue, and participation in shared solutions, we have built trust that strengthens every step of our work. Collaboration is not an abstract idea. It is a concrete and daily practice. The declines in crime that are shared here today reflect the dedication and commitment that happens between the scenes, strategizing, information sharing, training, and the relentless work of investigators, officers, and community partners who believe in a safer Detroit. This morning, I would like to provide a brief snapshot of MSP's role in this endeavor during the 2025 calendar year. Our MSP Forensic Science Division responded to 11 crime scenes in Detroit, and across 7 state laboratory disciplines, our laboratories processed 3,500 pieces of evidence that were submitted. To reduce traffic crashes and save lives on the roads and freeways in the city, troopers increased traffic enforcement and conducted over 16,000 traffic stops, an 11% increase over 2024, leading to more than 23,000 citations and verbal warnings. Because come on, folks, we all know in here sometimes on the lodge you're driving way too fast. The MSP Aviation Unit provided the air support with 260 flight hours, assisting in 111 felony arrests. And MSP personnel executed 56 search warrants, removed 194 illegal guns, and made 786 original felony arrests. And I can't speak highly enough about the work of the Joint Homicide Task Force, which is composed of both MSP and the Detroit Police Department detectives. They continue to deliver thorough investigations that include complex homicides with multiple victims, successfully solving investigations and bringing peace and resolution to families affected by this type of violence. Equally important to our mission, though, is community engagement, because we all know in here that you cannot arrest your way out of a situation. In 2025, MSP participated in approximately 50 community events and presentations in the city of Detroit, connecting with over 6,300 residents of all ages. I want to acknowledge that the progress that we discuss is possible because of the people who show up every day to serve. To the troopers, detectives, and staff who put their lives on the line and protect others, thank you. Your professionalism, courage, and commitment are the bedrock of this success. And to the officers of the Detroit Police Department, we stand beside you in a shared purpose and shared responsibility. And to the federal partners who bring resources and expertise, your collaboration strengthens our capacity to safeguard our communities. The progress that has been achieved demonstrates a powerful truth. Sustained safety requires ongoing collaboration amongst all stakeholders. And as we look ahead, we must continue to renew the commitment of reducing crime. We recognize that Detroit's safety and the state of Michigan's safety are inseparable. The steps we take today, together, set the standard of responsible, effective public safety that protects every resident and visitor. I want to extend a heartfelt thanks to all those who contributed to this work. All of the members of the MSP, the Detroit Police Department, the Wayne County Sheriff Department, all of our border and local police agencies, our federal partners, our community leaders, our neighborhood organizations, and every resident who participates in building the safer streets and safer futures. Your dedication, your trust, and your commitment is greatly appreciated in keeping the city of Detroit and the state of Michigan safe. Thank you.
Thank you, Colonel Grady. We're getting ready to transition now into community violence intervention. But before I bring up Zoe DeJuan Kennedy to speak on that from Force Detroit with our 7 community violence intervention groups, the ones who actually, our program is called Shot Stoppers in the city of Detroit, to actually prevent the shot from being fired in the first place. Because after the shot is fired and a life is lost, regardless of whether the individual is apprehended or not, the problem is we cannot bring victims back. So the best scenario is to actually be able to stop it from happening in the first place. But with all comes funding, Public Safety Trust Fund, ARPA, and our city council. And before Mayor Sheffield was mayor, she was the council president. And I always thank city council, because without you approving the budget and the funding, we can't implement anything. And so right now, we have a new council president by the name of James Tate, who I used to call Pro Tem so much, some folks actually was at his first name. So Pro Tem now, President James Tate, will you please come give some remarks on behalf of City Council, Mr. President?
Good morning, everyone. Good morning, and thank you, Mayor Sheffield and Chief Beddison and our law enforcement partners and our community partners who are here today. I would also like to bring up my colleague, Denzel McCampbell, representing District 7, new district council member. I'm going to give remarks on behalf of the body, but I wanted to bring him up forward because he is on the Public Health and Safety Standing Committee, so his presence here is definitely important. Yes, sir. So let me say this clearly up front. Detroit City Council is committed to being a steady partner in this work. We will continue to support the strategies that are producing results, and we will strengthen prevention efforts, and we will stay focused on what keeps residents safe. Today is a moment of recognition, not celebration. We should be encouraged by the progress, but we must also honor the families whose loved ones are represented in these numbers. Their pain is real, and we cannot speak about progress without acknowledging their grief. At the same time, we should also be honest about what these reductions mean. Detroit is seeing another historic drop in violent crime, with declines across all major categories. This matters because every reduction represents real people, real families, and neighborhoods that can breathe a lot easier. We also have to remember at the height of where we are in the weight of history, Detroit's highest homicide total in the modern era was 686 homicides in 1987. In more recent years, Detroit saw a bit of a peak in non-fatal shootings, and Chief talked about it earlier in 2020, where more than 1,170 non-fatal shootings were reported, along with 327 homicides. This is just back in 2020. The distance between those years and where we are today tells a story of what's possible when we all are consistent and focused. This progress is not the result of one effort. It is a result of the collaboration with law enforcement, the steady commitment of the Detroit Police Department, and a community that is choosing cooperation instead of silence. It is also the result of Detroit strategically empowering community violence intervention groups that can reach people in ways that government cannot. What was once viewed as a controversial thing is now showing real value. These organizations have trusted connections in neighborhoods, including people who are the closest to violence, and those who can interrupt retaliation before it spreads. I want to thank Chief Bettison for his vision, his steady leadership, and his focus on results. I also want to thank every officer, every civilian employee, every partner agency, every outreach worker, every faith leader, every resident who made a choice to speak up, step in, and help keep the peace. The goal, as been said before, is prevention. That means addressing the root causes that lead people towards violence and helping more residents choose a different path. That also includes employment with livable wages, skills training, mental health awareness and treatment, affordable, attainable housing, and reducing poverty that can trap families for generations. As we head into 2026 and beyond, our charge is to keep building on these steady improvements for the sake of our children and our families. Detroit must stay united in this effort, and the Detroit City Council will remain a reliable partner as we move forward in this work. Thank you again, Madam Mayor, and we appreciate it, and we're going to continue to work with you as well. God bless. Thank you.
At this point, I would like to bring Zoe DeJuan Kennedy, have you step up. Many individuals have become aware of what community violence intervention means. At first, a couple years ago, it was a term in the city of Detroit where you would say, well, what is that? But we've introduced it, it's in our neighborhoods, and it's having real results. And at this point, I would like one of the leaders, not only just on a local level, but on a national level, to provide remarks and talk about community violence intervention and how it's having real impact in the city of Detroit and how we're collectively working together and what makes our program really special in Detroit, and I would say #1 in the nation. Thank you.
How y'all doing? Voice. I want to start off by congratulating you to your new role in leadership as our mayor, and let you know I appreciate you always being supportive of community violence intervention and the public health approach towards gun violence. Also, want to extend thanks to you as well, along with the chief, for being supportive in our strategies and our efforts to reduce gun violence in our communities, right? I also want to extend thanks and honors to all of the organizations and groups, our partners, that are involved in that public health approach towards community violence intervention or gun violence in general. In those organizations, ours is Force Detroit, you have the People's Action, you have Friends and Family, you have Beat the Odds, you have Live in Peace, you have Team Pursuit, you have, I'm gonna miss, Detroit 300, you have New Era Detroit, you have Live D-Live, you have Ceasefire, and you have credible messengers inside the juveniles. And if I miss you, don't bother me after I leave. But this is the public health approach towards public safety. This is how we show up. This is our role. And trauma is a thing. It's a trauma-informed approach. Trauma hits different ways. For some, it can make them violent. For some, it can make them fearful. For some, it can make them relentless in accountability. As I stand here today, a man that once engaged in a destructive lifestyle and grew up with young men, young women, fathers, mothers, uncles in a destructive lifestyle, I'd be remiss and irresponsible if I didn't represent my community in saying we are humans. That's right. Every last one of us, even the ones that's messing up. And until we take on that responsibility and move accordingly, things are going to be set in place to manage us. It said if you can't manage yourself, others will manage you. We got to manage ourselves. As we talk about the reductions, it's not enough to have a reduction in fatal and non-fatal shootings. We should have a reduction in arrests as well. If we're performing well, right? We got to stay focused on that. Because you can rot up in there, you hearing that, and tear a hood. We got to remember that. I don't want you dead. We don't want you injured. And we don't want somebody who could change the world stuck in a cell. Because we was in cells, ain't that right? A lot of us. We made it up out of there, but we shouldn't have never been in there. Now I want to go through some stats through preaching. Oh yeah, I'll be remiss. I almost did it, and I won't. The Shot Stopper staff, Michael. Want to really extend honors to you, man, as well as everyone else who's working to establish the Office of Neighborhood and Community Safety. But I would have been remiss if I didn't include Michael and his team and what they're doing in this city. But I want to talk about, give you some metrics of what's going on. And this is from Shot Stoppers. We have had over 7,000 engagements as it relates to outreach and relationship building over the 2 years. That's what's driving some of the impact. Mind you, I said some because I never want to discredit what others are doing. We have also had over 3,000 other forms of engagement. This could be events, this could be anything with community. We have had over 2,000 mentoring engagements. Collectively, all of the organizations have had nearly 2,000 engagements in training in violence prevention, over nearly 2,000 engagements with block clubs over the past 2 years, 1,500 recruitments, engagements, and 1,300 conflict mediations. Conflict mediations is de-escalations, restorative practices. It is stuff going on. And I don't discredit anything else that's going on, but just like you have arrests, just like you have stops, you have community engagement. And our role in public safety, respectfully, is the public health approach. And we will continue that, and we will show up and be a permanent fixture in public safety. And I want to once again thank all of you for respecting our work, our stats, our effort, our commitment to being professional and professionalizing this field. And like he said, I travel the nation. And what we have is something that they don't. And I don't want none of them to be mad at me because they're going to see this on the news. Don't be mad, but I'm going to tell you what we don't, what they don't have. You can't stand up here with all this and still maintain your credibility in your community. That's because the community respects the work that is being done by those with the public health approach, and government and law enforcement respect the role of those engaged in the community with the public health approach. So I want to extend thanks and honors to the community first, to the org second, and law enforcement third. Ain't no last. And yeah, thank you. I'm gone.
Now it's easy to understand why I say that the city of Detroit is #1 when it comes to community violence intervention. Just looking at the data, the metrics, you're able to see that homicides and non-fatal shootings dropped 22% in the 7 CVI zones in 1 year, going from 25, looking back at 24. You can look at the results, murders and shootings in non-CVI areas, 25% reduction. That's the areas that are not covered by the CVI zones. And if you just look very quickly, Team Pursuit, for example, in their area over the past year, they've had a 60% reduction in those two categories. New Era Detroit, 44% reduction. Live in Peace, 12% reduction. Detroit Friends and Family, 11%. Forest Detroit, 4%. It was an increase of 2% for Detroit 300. Detroit People's Community, a 25% increase. But collectively, they're getting it done. Can't forget about mental health and co-response initiatives as well. We have a co-response unit. They're doing amazing work, and with the response, the department received 17,152 mental health calls for service in 2025, and we responded to 14,987. So you'll say, well, what about the ones you didn't respond to? Well, we actually have behavioral health therapists embedded in our 911 call center. They're able to triage, and oftentimes a response is not necessary, and they're able to refer and get individuals the appropriate help that they need. We work very, very closely with DWIN, Detroit Wayne Integrated Health Network. I'd like to thank our former chief, now I call him CEO White. He's the head of DWIN, and he's doing amazing work along with his team over there. Before I close all the way out and take questions, we have something very, very special in the city of Detroit. It's called the Board of Police Commissioners, and that is an oversight body for the police department. Many departments don't have that, but that's another thing that makes the city of Detroit special. It was created by the charter of the city of Detroit many, many years ago under the late, great Mayor Coleman A. Young. But here representing us today are members of the Board of Police Commissioners, but I would like to bring up the chair of the Board of Police Commissioners and also give recognition to the vice chair, Darrell Woods, but we're going to bring forth Eva Walsh, the chair of the Board of Police Commissioners, to give some brief remarks.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Chief, for recognizing the board. It is a very important partner to the Detroit Police Department. And I would just say we're, on behalf of Vice Chair Darrell Woods, who is my partner in the leadership, and the former chair of the board, we're very pleased with the statistics that are produced today, or that are shown today. But we're not surprised. We're not at all surprised, because as a board, we meet every single week. I don't know of any other board, because I sit on several boards, that meets every week. And so we receive a very detailed report from the chief and his leadership, and it's usually 15 to 20 pages, and it's every week, and we see those numbers coming down. And we're told, you know, why they're coming down. I talked to some individuals earlier. He praises the CVI groups that are helping along with bringing these numbers down. We hear it every week. And these numbers are presented to the community. These are public meetings. So everyone has the opportunity to see these numbers come down. Of course, you know, it's the work of the department. The officers are doing a tremendous job under the leadership of Chief Beddison. But, you know, I do want to mention that as a civilian oversight, we are responsible for approving the budget of the department, approving promotions. We help hire the chief. We do a lot of very important tasks as a civilian oversight committee or as a board. And as was mentioned earlier, I think by the chief, we're part of a national network of organizations. NACOL is the name of the national organization, and we just had a conference a couple of months ago, and I've been a member of the board for 11 years now, going on my 12th year, but when I go to these conferences, Detroit Police Department and our Board of Police Commissioners are so advanced in comparison to the other oversight boards. You know, as the chief mentioned, we are way ahead. In fact, this last conference, we talked about how we need to give some of these workshops because a lot of the, even large cities, do not have the oversight and the activity and what we do as the Detroit Police Department does. So we are advanced not only in terms of the officers, the training they get, the leadership of our department, the community engagement and partnerships that we have. We're not only advanced in that, but we're advanced in also the board that that provides oversight. And so I think the community needs to know that. And Madam Mayor, when you said it's all about perception, that is so on target. And as I mentioned, the weekly meetings gives us the opportunity to engage with the community. The community has a voice. They can come to our meetings. We have evening meetings as well. And so we are connected with the community in that way. And we will continue, you know, our role, I see our role as being not only a connection to the community or a connector to the community, but also to provide them a voice and also to advocate for them, but to also support our department. We have to provide them with everything they need, the tools, the staffing, the budget, the funding, everything that they need to keep our city safe. And we will continue to do that, to be supportive and to advocate for our community. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Walsh. Another, even though she's not here today to stand with us, but she's here in spirit, Madam Prosecutor Kim Worthy, who has been a phenomenal partner and you know, has contributed to the overall reduction in crime in the city of Detroit as well. So I thank you, Madam Prosecutor Worthy. I would like to also just give thanks to Governor Whitmer and the House of Representatives and also the State Senate as well for passing the Public Safety Trust Fund and ensuring that we have more resources in the city of Detroit for law enforcement and also for our CVI groups. It not only impacts the city of Detroit in a positive way, that legislation that was passed helps the whole entire state of Michigan in keeping us safe. So everyone involved with that on both sides, I could just name names and keep going on, but it passed overwhelmingly with bipartisan support. So I thank Governor Whitmer's office. I thank the legislative branch as well, both the House and the Senate, for getting that done. At this point, I will open it up for questions from the audience, well, for media. Mr. Hunter, how are you, sir?
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
How you doing?
I feel great.
To the chief and to the mayor, thank you so much, Mayor, for coming out, fighting, and being on target. Mayor Dinkins, who I just left from, Andre in Atlanta, told me make sure I tell you hi. I love what we're seeing. I respect what we're seeing. I just like to give a suggestion. The only part missing here is the leaders of the unions. They do a great job of making sure that the kids that they know are in trouble. I called Tony yesterday to link 5 kids up whose parents called me. Another entity that we're missing, and I saw it in Atlanta, which made me call Tony about somebody who at one of the bishops' church asked me if I could get their child in contracting. And I said, okay, let me call, and he did. We have that relationship. That's the part, one of the parts that might be missing. Certainly we have all the community centers, they have the computer centers, and I'm quite sure we need to know more about that. but how do we get engaged with making sure that every one of those teams know about the unions, and that next Labor Day it's not all these people coming down Michigan that's not from Detroit, but we have a slew of Detroiters who would be in trouble now building houses or doing piping, something that AI won't eliminate, plumbing and electricity. And that's my first question.
Yeah, thank you for your question, Mr. Hunter, Gary. Madam Mayor has something in store for that, and she'll be rolling that out at the appropriate time. But we're working collectively on things to be able to do that and more, with wraparound, with employment, summer employment, long-term employment, poverty. And so I don't want to speak in regards to what she has coming, but she definitely has that covered.
And I don't want to mess up the surprise. Anything I can do to help, let me know. The next question I have, your officers have come to show all kind of love in the community. How do we get our community to know that they're there for us? You can't get a better set. I mean, we might have some bad ones, but when I tell you the chiefs and assistant chiefs, anytime I've stopped to help somebody, they were always hospitable. They were always courteous. And I'm quite sure it leads from the top, because, you know, I almost threatened the last mayor about don't mess with you. But the real bottom line is, how do we get our community to now respect those who are respecting us? And I guess, how do we partner? And if the mayor could just say something about what is our goal to make sure that our citizens know that they're not here to just lock us up. And I know we want to lock those up, like you said, that cause us this harm. When you get a certain age, you want to see the police. At a certain age, you only want to see them. So how do we get a blend of respect for the officers, and what do you intend to do to make sure that the citizens know that you have a force that's ready to love on them and not just fight them?
So I guess you want me to tease the announcement. You won't let it go. But we do have a lot of forthcoming announcements around the Office of Neighborhood and Community Safety. And that office will encompass wraparound services, empowerment for our youth, job training, mental health services, more open access to our recreational centers, the human approach and public safety approach to how we address gun violence in the city of Detroit. I think we've heard today that we know we can't police our way out of public safety and violence, and so this administration will be laser focused on the human side, the prevention side, to ensure that people have the support that they need to be productive citizens here in Detroit. So it's an all hands on deck approach, and we're very excited within the first 100 days with the support of our chief to get this office open. And I do have to give credit to the council as well, too, who has been pushing for this initiative for quite some time. So stay tuned. More information will be forthcoming. And he said 3 years. 3 years. Oh, through me. Okay, through me.
Thank
we
you.
have been pushing for it, but it will be forthcoming. Thank you.
Hi, Chief. It's Andrea from the Detroit Free Press. Just a couple of questions for you. Can you let the public know what the difference between justified and unjustified homicides are? Are justified homicides in that total, and if not, how many were there in 2025?
Yep, absolutely. And so a homicide, and we're talking about criminal homicides, so those are the numbers that are reported. And so a criminal homicide is a murder or non-negligent manslaughter, and I'm reading the exact definition: the willful non-negligent killing of one human being by another. So deaths caused by negligence, attempts to kill, assault to kill, suicides, accidental deaths are excluded. A justified homicide is a homicide defined as, is classified, justified separately and limited by definition to 1, the killing of a felon by a law enforcement officer in the line of duty, or the killing of a felon during the commission of a felony by a private citizen. That's what a justified homicide is. So if you were to take someone's life in defense of yourself or another, that would be deemed justified. And by definition, those are excluded. During 2025, what's excluded are also suicides. So if an individual takes their own life, some by knife, some by gun, that's not included as a homicide. Justifiable homicides during the year of 2025, it was a total of 17. And our overall, before you ask, and one of the things that I didn't talk about was our closure rate as well. And so the overall closure rate for 2025, which is of homicides that I'm speaking to right now, how many individuals were arrested and charged, that would determine closure. And so the closure rate was 67%. And for the year of 2025 enclosure rate, that's 54%, meaning that we closed 89 this year in cases that were 21 from the prior year, because we don't ever stop investigating homicides. And so it could be a homicide that happened in 2023, and we closed it this year. That would go towards the closure rate as well. And to families out there who have cold cases, that should be reassuring that we continue to investigate those cases and work towards bringing justice to those family members.
And my second question is, obviously we talked a lot about success here, what's been working. I'm just curious if you see any areas of improvement going forward as we want to continue, keeping those homicide levels down.
Yep, absolutely. Domestic violence. And I was so happy with the U.S. Attorney's Office when they really spoke about focusing on the domestic violence aspect of it, being some of the most dangerous. It's very hard for us to police and prevent those as things that are happening inside individuals' households, but to be able to put programs in place to be able to deter that. And our community violence intervention groups as well, that's one of the things that they have seen in their areas. It's very, very hard when it comes to what's happening in the household, emotional type crimes of passion, etc. But I see that we can work to double down on that and bring in programming to address those.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Hey, Chief, how you doing? And
Feeling
everybody
good.
else. I'm Corey Williams at the Associated Press. I could always ask more than 2 questions, but I'm gonna keep it at 2. I think there's any choice with that. Chief, with the reduction in homicides per year, do you guys have the per capita number for 100,000 residents? Last year, for 2024, I think it was still above 30%, which still made Detroit one of the highest in the country with murders per capita. Do you have the 2025 per capita rates? That's the first question. And elaborate on it if you can.
I don't have the per capita, but we could, get that for you very, very quickly. So, and you could actually do it yourself because I gave you the whole numbers. It's very simple to do based off of the population. But one of the things that has to definitely be considered is per capita looks at the number of residents inside the city of Detroit based off the census. We know that there are more residents inside the city of Detroit, but at any given time with the number of sports stadiums, events, and other things that we have in our city, our population swells. You can look at the NFL draft. You could just look at the tree lighting that we just had that was very successful, where we had over 115,000 people that was surrounding the tree that just went through our evolved metal detectors, but it was even more than that downtown, and we still have to keep that safe. We have so many new attractions that are coming up. We just opened a brand new park with 22 acres on the river walk that will bring in visitors from all over. In the Detroit Police Department alone, with all of my friends who I call for help and assistance to be able to ensure not only the residents are safe in the city of Detroit, but the visitors are safe. We have beautiful parks. If you go talk to children in our parks, you will think they're Detroit children, but then you will find out that our parks are so nice in the city of Detroit that a lot of my suburban friends have brought their children to our parks to play. So I understand that per capita is one thing that we look at, but I just wanted to bring in the context of it as well, that we have a lot of individuals in the city of Detroit because Detroit is such a happening place, being the entertainment capital of Michigan, that we're responsible for as well.
Okay, and second question real quick. Detroit's crime numbers have been dropping. That's a great thing. However, President Trump continues to say that that big cities, primarily Democrat cities, have out of rampant crime, out of control crime. But those numbers are not just decreasing here in Detroit, they're decreasing in other cities around the country. Can you elaborate on those claims by the president?
I'm just focused on local, what I'm doing, and so my job as police chief is to continue to ensure that we have a safe environment, and I just stay laser focused on my local issue and pushing down crime. And so I'm going to continue to do what I can on a local level and stay focused on that, not take my eye off the ball, and ensure that Detroit is moving towards being one of the safest big cities in the United States of America.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Thank you.
Hey, Chief Bedison, Mary Sheffield, thank you for taking my question. Darren Cunningham with Channel 7. I just wanted to see if either of you could expound on the new Office of Gun Violence Prevention. What will that look like? Oh, okay, that's the big
Stay
announcement.
tuned.
Okay, I'll stay tuned on that. All right, I'll ask a different question. If you could talk about areas where there are still maybe issues, some hot spots within the city, what will you do differently to address those folks who have those concerns in those areas as far as violence, bringing it down?
The Office of Violence, whatever name that we actually come up with, and so it gets into really talking about that office that we're creating to address the additional things. But what I can tell you is a lot of the violence is spontaneous or conflict in nature, and so being able to resolve the conflict before it happens. And so every crime, when we're interviewing witnesses, we come to a cause of what it was. And so if you looked at our category of homicides, the majority of our homicides is not gang, it doesn't have a gang nexus, it doesn't have a drug nexus, but what it does has is some type of argument, and it could be spontaneous or ongoing argument. So being able to really zero in and come up with, I would say, some way to intercept the conflict before it results to violence earlier. And I believe that that's going to help us get our numbers lower than 150 and get us moving our numbers towards 125. And ultimately, I would want to stand here someday and be able to report that we're under 100. At one point in time, we never thought we would get to under 200. But I do believe, and I know that with this collective effort, and the media included, all of us, that we can get to under 100 homicides in the city of Detroit. And I will still say that when we hit that benchmark, that's not enough either, because that's 100 too many.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Thank you all so much. Thank you, thank you, thank you.